I'm Lily, 18F, and I live with my mom Carol, 42F, and my stepdad Mark, 45M. My mom married Mark about a year ago after divorcing my biological dad. The divorce was pretty rough. My dad cheated on my mom with his secretary and it was a messy split. I remember the night I found out about it. I was 16 and came home late from soccer practice to find my mom crying in the kitchen. She tried to hide it, but I could tell something was wrong. That's when she told me about catching my dad with his secretary at a hotel. It was devastating. The next few months were a blur of arguments, tears, and eventually, my dad moving out. I was angry at him for a long time. He tried to explain, to apologize, but I couldn't forgive him for hurting my mom like that. Eventually, I stopped answering his calls and texts. It's been almost 2 years now since I've spoken to him. Mark has been friends with my mom for years. They met at a neighborhood barbecue when we first moved to this town, about 10 years ago. I used to call him Uncle Mark when I was younger. He would come over for dinner sometimes, or join us for movie nights. He was always kind to me, helping me with my math homework or teaching me how to change a tire on my first car. When my mom started dating him about 6 months after the divorce, it felt weird at first. I was happy to see my mom smiling again, but it was strange to think of Uncle Mark as her boyfriend. It took some time to adjust to him being around more often, and eventually moving in. But he's always been nice to me and he makes my mom happy, so I've tried to be supportive. For some background, Mark is a lawyer and has his own small firm. He specializes in family law, which is kind of ironic given our family situation. A few months ago he hired a new intern, Alex, 23M. Mark was excited about it. He said Alex was top of his class in law school and had a lot of potential. I've met Alex a handful of times when he's come over to drop off documents for Mark or join us for dinner. The first time I met him was at a dinner party Mark hosted for his firm. Alex seemed nice enough, but I noticed he kept glancing at me throughout the night. At the time, I thought maybe he was just shy or nervous about being at his boss's house. After that, I ran into him a few more times. Once at a coffee shop near our house, he said he was picking up Mark's usual order. Another time he came by to drop off some files and stayed for dinner. Each time, he seemed a bit awkward around me, stumbling over his words or staring a bit too long. I didn't think much of it at the time, just chalked it up to him being socially awkward. Anyway, last week was my 18th birthday. I'm not big on celebrating, so I just went to school and hung out with friends after. My best friend Zoe, 18F, took me out for ice cream and we spent the afternoon at the park, just talking and enjoying the nice weather. When I got home, I was surprised to find that my mom and Mark had planned a small party for me with some family. They had decorated the living room with balloons and streamers, and my favorite cake from the local bakery was on the table. My aunt and uncle were there, along with my younger cousins. It was actually really nice of them to do this. We had dinner. My mom had made my favorite lasagna, and then sang happy birthday. After dinner, it was time for presents. My aunt and uncle got me a gift card to my favorite clothing store. My cousins had made me a colorful bracelet. Then my mom and Mark handed me an envelope. Inside were tickets to see my favorite band next month. I was thrilled. I had been saving up for these tickets but they sold out before I could buy them. I hugged them both, genuinely grateful. I thought that was it for gifts, but later that evening, after everyone else had left, Mark came to my room with one more present. It was a big box wrapped in shiny pink paper. I was curious what else they could have gotten me, especially after the concert tickets. I opened it to find a wall clock. It was pink, my favorite color, with little cat designs around the numbers. The cats looked like they were chasing each other around the clock face. Honestly, it was kind of cute but also a bit childish for an 18th birthday gift. Still, I thanked Mark and he seemed happy that I liked it. He mentioned that he had asked Alex to pick it out as a surprise, saying something about wanting to get me something on his own but not being sure what an 18-year-old girl would like. I put the clock on my desk and didn't think much more about it. The rest of the evening was quiet. I called Zoe to tell her about the surprise party and the gifts. We talked for a while about the upcoming concert and made plans to go shopping for outfits. Later that night, I was texting Zoe again. She asked to see a picture of the clock, curious about what it looked like. I was already in bed and feeling lazy, so I just stretched out my arm to take a quick picture with my phone. That's when I noticed something strange. There was a tiny blue light on the clock that I hadn't seen before. It took me a second, but then I remembered something I'd seen in a crime documentary about hidden cameras sometimes having small lights like that. I got a sick feeling in my stomach and quickly looked up how to detect hidden cameras. Using my phone's front camera, I was able to confirm there was definitely a hidden camera in the clock. I felt violated and scared. Why would Mark give me something like this? I didn't want to believe he would do something so creepy, but he said he had Alex pick it out. Could Alex have done this without Mark knowing? I didn't know what to think. My mind was racing, thinking back to all the times Alex had been weird around me. Had he been planning this all along? In a panic, I called Zoe and told her what happened. She was furious and said I should call the police right away. I was hesitant to do that without talking to my mom first, but I was too freaked out to confront them that night. Zoe offered to come over, but I didn't want to risk waking up my mom and Mark. I ended up throwing the clock in the trash and removing all the stuffed animals and decorations in my room that I hadn't bought myself, just in case there were other cameras. I even checked the smoke detector and air vents, paranoid that there might be more hidden devices. I barely slept that night, feeling like I was being watched even though I knew the camera was in the trash. I kept thinking about all the times I had changed in my room, or the private conversations I'd had with Zoe. Had someone been watching all of that? The next morning, I woke up early, still feeling anxious. I heard my mom in the kitchen and decided to try and talk to her alone before Mark woke up. But as I was heading downstairs, I heard her gasp. She had found the clock in the trash while taking out the garbage. My mom confronted me about it, asking why I would throw away a birthday gift. I tried to explain about the camera, but she got angry, calling me ungrateful and paranoid. When I accused Mark of being a creep, she actually slapped me. In 18 years, she had never hit me before. I was shocked and hurt that she would take his side over mine without even listening to me. The noise must have woken up Mark, because he came into the kitchen asking what was going on. My mom started telling him how I had accused him of putting a camera in my room. Mark looked confused and hurt. He started to say something, but I couldn't bear to hear whatever excuse he might have. I felt betrayed and scared in my own home. I ran back upstairs, grabbed some clothes and my car keys, and drove to Zoe's house. I've been staying here for the past few days, trying to figure out what to do. My mom has been calling and texting nonstop. Mark too. They're both claiming there's an explanation and begging me to come home and talk. Part of me wonders if I overreacted. Maybe there is an innocent explanation. But I feel so betrayed by my mom's reaction and I'm scared to go back home not knowing the truth. Zoe thinks I should go to the police, but I'm worried about ruining my mom's marriage if it turns out to be a misunderstanding. Plus, I keep thinking about how Mark helped me through my parents' divorce, how he's always been kind to me. Could I have misjudged him so badly? I don't know what to do. Am I overreacting? Should I hear them out? Or should I trust my gut and take this to the authorities? I feel lost and could really use some advice on how to handle this. I can't stay at Zoe's forever, but I'm terrified of going back home. Update 1, it's been a few days since my last post and a lot has happened. First, thank you to everyone who offered advice and support. Your comments really helped me get the courage to take action and stand up for myself. The morning after I posted, my mom and Mark showed up at Zoe's house. I was surprised they knew where to find me, but I guess it wasn't hard to figure out. I didn't want to see Mark, but my mom begged me to hear them out. They both looked terrible, like they hadn't slept in days. Against my better judgment, I agreed to talk. We sat in Zoe's living room. Her parents were kind enough to give us privacy, but stayed nearby in case I needed support. Mark started by swearing he had no idea about the camera. He looked genuinely distressed as he explained that he had asked Alex to find a birthday gift for me because he wanted to get me something special on his own, separate from the concert tickets he and my mom had bought. He showed me texts between him and Alex where he asked Alex to find a birthday gift for me. There was a picture of the clock, but it just looked normal in the image. Mark said he thought it was perfect since I love pink and cats. He even showed me the receipt where he had transferred money to Alex to buy the gift. I told him about the times Alex had seemed creepy around me, the staring, the awkward conversations, how he always seemed to be around. As I spoke, I saw Mark's face change from confusion to anger. He said he had no idea Alex had been behaving that way and felt awful for not noticing and for putting me in danger. My mom broke down crying, apologizing over and over for not believing me. She said she had been in shock and reacted badly, that she was sorry for hitting me and for making me feel unsafe in my own home. Seeing her so upset made me realize how much this situation had affected all of us. After a lot of discussion, we decided to go to the police. Mark said he'd do whatever it took to make this right, even if it meant his firm getting bad publicity. We gathered all the evidence we could, the texts, the clock, everything. The drive to the police station was tense. I sat in the back seat, still not entirely comfortable being close to Mark. My mom kept looking back at me, her eyes red from crying. Mark was quiet, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. At the station, I gave my statement to a female officer. She was kind and patient, listening carefully as I explained everything that had happened. They took the clock as evidence and asked for Mark's phone to verify the texts. They questioned Mark separately, which made me nervous. What if he said something to implicate himself? What if this was all an elaborate setup? But when he came out, he said he had cooperated fully, giving them all the information he had about Alex and offering to provide any additional help they needed. The police said they'd investigate Alex right away. They asked us to go home and wait for their call. The idea of going back to the house made me anxious, but I also didn't want to impose on Zoe's family any longer. When we got home, the atmosphere was awkward. None of us really knew what to say. My mom tried to make small talk, asking if I was hungry, if I needed anything. Mark kept his distance, sensing my discomfort. I spent most of the day in my room, texting Zoe and updating her on what had happened. Later that evening, we got a call from the police. Alex had been arrested. Apparently when confronted, he broke down and confessed to everything. He admitted to having a crush on me, buying the camera clock to spy on me. He said he had been planning it for months, waiting for an opportunity. Hearing this made me sick to my stomach. I ran to the bathroom, barely making it before I threw up. My mom followed me, holding my hair back and rubbing my back like she used to when I was little and had the flu. For a moment, it felt like old times, before all this craziness had started. The police did a thorough search of our house to check for other devices, but thankfully found nothing else. They went through every room, checked all the electronics, even looked in the air vents. It was invasive, but also reassuring to know there were no other hidden cameras. They're going through Alex's computer and phone records now to see if he's done this to anyone else. The thought that there might be other victims out there makes me feel even worse about the whole situation. I'm still processing everything. I'm glad Alex was caught, but I feel violated and angry. I can't believe this happened. My mom and Mark have been very supportive, giving me space when I need it but also making sure I know they're there for me. We're looking into counseling options to help me deal with this. I'm also struggling with guilt over almost ruining my mom and Mark's marriage. But they both assure me none of this is my fault. Mark especially feels terrible for not being more careful about who he hired and trusted. He's been beating himself up about it, saying he should have noticed something was off about Alex. The past few days have been a roller coaster of emotions. One minute I feel relieved that the truth is out, the next I'm angry at Alex for violating my privacy, then I feel guilty for doubting Mark, then scared about what might have happened if I hadn't noticed the camera. It's exhausting. I'm trying to get back to normal life, but it's hard. I jump at unexpected noises, I'm paranoid about changing clothes in my room, and I'm constantly checking for hidden cameras everywhere I go. My mom suggested I stay home from school for a few days to process everything, which I'm grateful for. Thank you again to everyone who encouraged me to trust my instincts and go to the police. I don't know what would have happened if I had just ignored my suspicions. I'll update again when I know more about what's happening with the case against Alex. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update. The case against Alex is moving forward. He's been formally charged with several crimes related to invasion of privacy and voyeurism. Because I had just turned 18, they couldn't charge him with anything related to minors, even though he admitted to having inappropriate feelings for me when I was 17. The investigation uncovered some disturbing things. Alex had been following all my social media accounts using fake profiles. He had saved hundreds of my photos, not just public ones but also ones I had only shared with friends. The police also found evidence that he had researched other types of hidden cameras and tracking devices. It's chilling to think what might have happened if I hadn't noticed that tiny light on the clock. The detectives interviewed some of Alex's former classmates and coworkers. Apparently, he had a history of obsessive behavior towards women, but nothing that had ever escalated to this level before. A few girls from his college said he would often stare at them or try to insert himself into their friend groups, but they had just thought he was socially awkward. Mark's law firm has taken a hit from all this. He's lost a few clients who were uncomfortable with the scandal. Some people in town have been gossiping, wondering if Mark was somehow involved. He says he doesn't care about the business impact, that my safety is more important, but I can tell it's stressing him out. He's implemented much stricter background checks for all employees and interns now. My mom and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship. I'm still hurt by how quickly she sided with Mark over me, but I understand she was in shock. We're in family counseling to work through everything. It's helping, but it's a slow process. There are still moments when I flinch if she moves too quickly near me, remembering the slap. She notices and it makes her cry every time. School has been tough. Someone leaked the story to the local news, and even though they didn't use my name, everyone figured out it was me. Some people have been supportive, but others whisper and stare when I walk by. A few girls I thought were my friends have been avoiding me, like what happened to me is somehow contagious. I'm trying to move forward with my life. I deleted all my old social media accounts and started fresh with much stricter privacy settings. I'm still jumpy and paranoid sometimes, especially in my room, but it's getting better. I've rearranged my furniture and redecorated a bit, trying to make the space feel like mine again. I'm heading to college in the fall and looking forward to a fresh start. I've decided to go to a school in another state, partly to get away from all the gossip and stares. My mom is sad about me going so far, but she understands my need for a new beginning. The hardest part has been dealing with the feeling of betrayal. Not just from Alex, who I barely knew, but from the adults I trusted. Even though Mark wasn't involved, I can't help feeling angry that he brought Alex into our lives. And my mom's initial reaction still hurts. I'm working on forgiveness, but it's not easy. My dad found out about what happened through the grapevine. He's been trying to reach out, saying he wants to support me through this. Part of me wants to let him in, to have my dad comfort me like when I was little. But another part is still angry about the affair and how he abandoned us. I haven't decided yet if I'll respond to his messages. I've been spending a lot of time with Zoe. She's been my rock through all of this, always there to listen when I need to vent or just sit with me in silence when I don't want to talk. We've been planning our dorm decor for college, focusing on the future instead of dwelling on what happened. The prosecutors have offered Alex a plea deal. They say it's a strong case but want to spare me the stress of a trial. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Part of me wants him to face a jury and be publicly shamed for what he did. But another part just wants this all to be over. I'll update again when there's news about Alex's plea deal or trial. Thank you all again for your support through this nightmare. Update 3, it's been 4 months since everything happened. Alex's case is finally over. He took the plea deal to avoid a longer sentence. He'll serve 6 months in jail, have to register as a sex offender, and be on probation for 5 years after release. I'm disappointed he didn't get a harsher sentence, but my lawyer says this is fairly standard for a first offense where no actual images were captured. At least it will be on his record permanently, which might prevent him from doing this to someone else in the future. The aftermath of all this is still affecting my family. Mark's law firm is struggling. He's had to let go of a few employees and take on more work himself. I feel guilty about this sometimes, even though I know it's not my fault. My mom has been supportive of Mark, picking up extra shifts at her job to help with our finances. I'm mostly focused on moving forward now. I started college last month and I'm slowly adjusting to my new life. Being away from home has actually helped me feel safer and more independent. My roommate doesn't know about what happened, and it's nice to just be a normal college student in her eyes. I've joined a support group for survivors of stalking and privacy violations. It's been helpful to talk to others who understand what I've been through. Some of their stories are even worse than mine, which puts things in perspective. My relationship with my mom and Mark is still complicated. We talk regularly and they're trying hard to rebuild trust, but there's still tension. I find myself getting irritated with them easily, then feeling guilty about it. I'm not sure our family will ever be the same, but we're working on it. I did end up responding to my dad's messages. We've had a few phone calls. It's awkward and there's a lot of hurt there, but it's also been nice to have his support. He's talked about coming to visit me at college, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. Zoe and I are at different colleges now, but we still talk almost every day. She's been amazing through all of this, always there when I need her. I don't know what I would have done without her support. This whole experience has changed me. I'm more cautious, more aware of my surroundings. But I'm also stronger. I stood up for myself, trusted my instincts, and got through something terrible. I still have bad days where I feel angry or scared or sad about what happened. But I'm learning to cope with those feelings. I'm focusing on my studies, making new friends, and trying new things. Slowly but surely, I'm reclaiming my life.